We've done, we did a big market research with Google Plus 2 months ago, and over 90% of people in the world say all drugs should be decriminalized. So it's
You institute a prohibition like we have with drugs in this country. What you are doing is not protecting people from other people. You are attempting to use law enforcement to protect people from themselves. Protecting you from yourself is a function of family, church, education, and the healthcare system. It never is and never should have been intended to be a law enforcement function.
I am a strong believer that we have to think more about drugs as a public health problem.
Drug lords, big-time drug dealers, they're making hundreds of millions, billions of dollars every year, tax-free, by the way, and they're clearly winning. The number 2 group of people that are winning are those in juvenile gangs. Pretty much every juvenile gang we have in our country gets its primary source of funding for the sale of illegal drugs, and now they're using it as a recruiting tool to bring more children into this lifestyle because they too can be part of the action and make some money. Number 3 group of people that are winning are basically those in law enforcement that are making big-time government money to fight against the first 2 groups. And I'm not pointing the finger at law enforcement. They haven't failed us any more for the war on drugs than Eliot Ness failed us with regard to the war on alcohol. But it's the system. But nevertheless, their bureaucracies have expanded, their amounts of money, their power have all expanded as well. They're winning. 4th group of people are the politicians that basically talk tough with regard to the war on drugs, not smart, but they get elected and re-elected by talking tough. Of course, it's our fault because we continue to elect them, but they come out ahead. Number 5 groups are those in the private sector that make money because of increased crime. Who might that be? Obviously the people that build prisons, enormously lucrative occupation. People that staff prisons. In the state of California, the Prison Guards Union is the strongest political lobby group we have. They're winning, and of course they're laughing at us. And the 6th group of people that are winning are the terrorist organizations of the world. You look at any terrorist organization from Osama bin Laden or anywhere else, the primary source of funding is drug money. It's the sale of illegal drugs, to the degree that I say that drug prohibition is the golden goose of terrorism. And if our government really wanted to do something damaging to terrorist groups around the world, they would take the one step that would do that: repeal drug prohibition.
They need to be regulated, but if people want to use drugs, that should not be a criminal justice issue. That's a health issue if the drugs are causing a problem.
We've destroyed more lives than the drugs have by incarcerating people and hanging felony convictions on them and denying them college educations, denying them jobs for no good reason. And
to crack, considering the fact that it's very addictive, and considering the fact that
That's very dubious. It is addictive, but I understand from all the medical evidence that it's no more addictive than other drugs. In fact, the most addictive drug everybody acknowledges is tobacco.
I think that a better system is a regulated and controlled marketplace. And don't misunderstand me. I am not implying that if we legalize drugs, that is going to solve our alcohol problem. Just like when we legalized alcohol in 1933, that didn't solve our alcohol problem, all right? This isn't going to solve our drug problem. We have to deal with our drug problem as an educational and a healthcare. Not once in 20 years did a parent ever turn their child in for drugs. The last thought in the world was to turn this over to the police. They found other ways to deal with that problem. And we as a society should find other ways.
And the core of those other ways is that even the heartbreak of addiction should be treated as a personal or public health issue, never as a criminal one.
Insight is part of a program to bring people who are marginalized out of society, back into society, back into the light of healthcare.
Take your story back to the stage so people can understand that this is a medical situation for you. This is a health issue.
The results of that are amazing. There hasn't been a single overdose death there in 15 years. Imagine all the lives that are saved. AIDS and hepatitis in that country dropped to the lowest rate of any country in Europe because they're not sharing needles anymore. Crime was cut by 60%.
That's the most important.
Yeah.
Furthermore, after over 90 years of drugs being illegal, over 40 years of the war on drugs, drugs are more available, drugs are purer, drugs are cheaper. So obviously, we're not winning the war on drugs. And obviously, the criminal justice approach to a health problem is not working.
You know, the drug czar said the other day at a press conference, and I wish if you're ever at this press conference, because you people are in the news, you would ask the question that I always want to ask. He said that this drug issue in America is fundamentally a healthcare and an educational problem. And nobody asked him, what other healthcare and educational problems do you think we should use the criminal justice system as our main approach to?
So maybe a paramilitary police state is not the solution to this problem. Maybe this is a family problem. Maybe this is a problem for friends to deal with.
But let us not forget that a similar case was made against alcohol and bootleggers many years ago. Tens of thousands of lives are still lost each year to drunk driving alone.
It's a mental health issue in many cases. If somebody is addicted to a substance, any substance or any activity, gambling, alcohol, it's a health issue. And that's how we should look at it.
In certain circumstances, a mother who is a crack addict and is carrying a baby is afraid to go get treatment, afraid to go get prenatal treatment, because she turned herself in as a criminal. She's subject to be thrown to jail. Under legalized drugs, that inhibition would be off.